Actually, I have great helpers in the kitchen now, so I don't do all the cooking myself. My girls love to cook and they're great at it, and so I told them I'll wash dishes any day if you girls want to do the cooking.
I think that they care about, my parents care about us, and they really want to see the best for our lives, and they let us do things and sometimes find out things on our own, and they let us learn from our own mistakes. They try to share what they've experienced, and hopefully it'll help us out in our lives.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Thursday, May 2nd. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Okay, we just finished up our video about Anna, and there was a number of people that wrote letters for Josh, and it's been incredible to read the world that they live in. I started to think about how there was like, I can't remember if it was on Seinfeld or, yeah, it was on Seinfeld. And they had this whole like bizarro world where everything was so bizarre. It was like everything was flipped upside down. And there was like all these characters that were just like the people on Seinfeld, but they were kind of like a heightened version of them and a little bit more dramatic. Like that's how I figured, I've decided that the life is in the Duggar land. Like it's a land of the bizarre. I've never seen anything like this. And the more I'm getting into this, the more I'm just like, you have to step back into reality and be like, okay, the truth is over here. Like this is actually the factual truth. This is not the truth. This is the truth. So we learned this week in unsealed court records that Miss Jill says that her parents and her have a very strained relationship, and it has to do with her leaving the show. And it came down to some of the choices that she had made in her life related to a nose ring, having some beverages from time to time, and wearing pants. But the truth of the matter was that when she started making decisions for herself that were not the same decisions that her father agreed with, that's the crux of the situation. Jill, who has never been in trouble, Jill, who is an upstanding citizen, who volunteers, who's a good person for the most part, like Jill, someone who's done nothing wrong and has no reason for the world to hate her in that respect, she's the one that's the problem for the Duggars. So when I saw a letter in this packet for Josh to the judge and it had Michelle Duggar in there, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. This is the same woman that wrote like a birthday love letter to her son about what a great husband he was, like only a few years ago. So Michelle had a message she wanted to send to the court about her son. And again, this one is maybe, I don't know, as not as airy as Anna's. This is what Michelle said. Hello. I'm writing this letter in regards to the sentencing of my son, Joshua Duggar. My heart is to share some things about Joshua's character that may not be fully known to the court. It is my sincere hope these things are taken into consideration as a fair and just sentence is determined. Leading up to the sentencing day, I want to make clear that Joshua has friends and family who will love and support him in his abilities to succeed as a husband, father, and business owner and man now, both now and in the future. I think like they definitely got some talking points from the defense about what needed to be said in these letters. And in fairness, we have to remember that this is guided by his defense strategy to paint Josh in a favorable light so that the judge will take leniency on him. She continues, Joshua has a tender heart and he is compassionate towards others. If someone is having a difficult time, he is one of the first to encourage or try to help them in a tangible way. He and his wife and children have helped many others by doing cleaning and repair projects and lending a helping hand. Joshua has always been a positive and upbeat person. He is wise financially, saving money for the future, and purposing not to go into debt. The IBLP and the debt stuff is so weird. Like, this is definitely not something that I would put into a letter to a judge. Anyways, he is a good provider for his family, working diligently and thinking of creative ways to support and care for his wife and children. He is also generous and shares his resources with others in need. One example of his heart to help others is that Joshua has been giving financial assistance of a widow friend of ours for several years. Yeah, who has children, right? Kind of weird, huh? On a personal level, Joshua is an organized and diligent individual. He has set a good example of applying himself eagerly to his work and in the many other responsibilities that he carries as a husband and father. Joshua is a loving and patient man, striving to be a blessing and provide for his family. He has also spent quality time with his wife and children, learning life skills together and going on family outings. Side by side, Joshua and his family have built forts, learned how to work on bicycles and other vehicles, gone camping, hiked, fished, and played countless games and sports together. As I look to his return, I stand ready to offer my continued love and encouragement to Joshua and his family and for their success in the future. Together, we ask that he be reunited with his wife and family in a timely manner. Thank you, Your Honor, for taking these thoughts into consideration. We implore your wisdom for a just decision in this manner. Thank you for your time. And then she signed her name with a heart over the I, which she signs on everything. It's actually kind of like a middle school signature. So in the world of the Duggars, if you have no debt and you provide for your family, that sounds like the bare bones for most parents and spouses. And because he takes his kids fishing and he's given some money to Denise, Clark's widow, that somehow justifies what's happened. Again, in her letter, there's nothing about what he's done. There's no understanding of the gravity of who he might have hurt. There's absolutely nothing about what happened to her daughters. And she says that when he returns, she is going to work with them together like they're united as a family together to help him succeed. Joshua is a 33, 34-year-old man. It is not the job of the parents, who are now in their 50s, to ensure that an adult who is in his 30s succeeds in life. Their time parenting him ended when he was 18. Their responsibility to ensuring that he was a good person ended at the age of 18. Since then, Joshua has been surrounded by what appears to be enablers who believe that as long as they pray for him and they ignore the bad and just look at the good that he accomplishes, they don't have to acknowledge the bad that he's done. At no time in this letter where Michelle, who claims to be a Christian, does she speak about the children that were found in these videos or the ramifications of what happens to children. Instead, she focused on his children and said he's a great father. I want to know if a man who is tender-hearted would be the kind of man that would be looking at the kind of content that was found online. I'd also like to know if a man with a tender heart would have a deceptive double life where he takes steps to not only lie to his wife, but lie to his family at all costs by taking extreme measures to calculatedly deceive everyone around him by making sure he covers his tracks, making sure that nobody knows what he's doing, making sure that he has the Linux partition set up, making sure that everything is deleted and scrubbed. You know, the day that they came to his lot, he was looking at stuff online. It wasn't related to children, but he was still looking at stuff online. When Josh was at work, how much of that time was he actually working? And if they were going to be honest, if Joshua's parents weren't wealthy, how successful would Joshua be? If Josh had to take the money that he had on his own, and had to live outside of the scope of his parents and didn't depend on them financially in any situation, how successful would that car lot have been by himself had he left it up to his own devices? Because once that car lot closed, he just went and worked with Jed. And then he bought a house and he was restoring it or trying to repair it so that they could move in, living with his parents. And his wife continues to live with his parents at his parents' house where his parents are taking care of his wife and children. These types of situations are like a family illness. And someone like Josh cannot exist unless there's people around him that are willing to enable the behavior and ignore the bad actions. And I think the problem with Josh is that his parents, they don't want to admit that he is who he is. And instead of acknowledging what he's done, it's easier for them to believe that he can be restored through Christ, because that's the crap they've been sold by the IBLP. As long as he's cries out to God, all is forgiven. But at what point in time do you actually acknowledge, like, my son has made mistakes? I did not see in either of these letters, my son makes mistakes. Sometimes my son does things that are not the best. Sometimes I understand that he has maybe done something wrong. Not even the family is remorseful, because the family, this family, these people, Michelle and Anna, don't believe that he's guilty, because I cannot fathom someone who believes that their son is guilty would write a letter to the judge and say, we ask that he be reunited with his wife and family in a timely manner. A timely manner to me feels like next week or next month. You know, it's like you're asking for, when is the cable guy going to be at the house? Or how long is it going to be until you can install my heater? I need to know this. I need this done in a timely manner. A sentence is not designed to be in a timely manner. It's a time of punishment. It's a time of him paying for what he's done. Josh has hurt people, and there are real kids that are hurt because of him. And there's no mention about what he did as a child. None of the struggles they had with him as a kid. None of the struggles they had with him as a teen. None of the problems they had with him financially when he went to Washington, or any of the issues that he had in Washington with Ashley Madison and all the extramarital affairs he had. Nothing. How they had to send him away to the Reformers Unanimous. None of that. It's like they don't even acknowledge any of the difficulties. And listen, again, I understand they need to paint the picture to the judge that he's a good person. But I feel like if you can't have a balanced perspective of who someone is, and you refuse to acknowledge any like tiny mistake someone makes, you can't live in reality. I've heard parents do impact statements in court, or statements to the judge, and I've heard them say, like, I understand that my child has done something bad, like fully comprehending the magnitude of what their kid does. And then they use that to sort of plead, to say, like, listen, I get it. I know he needs to be punished, but here's what I want you to know about him outside of that. No remorse. No remorse. Josh doesn't have remorse. His parents don't have remorse. Anna doesn't have remorse, because Josh has convinced everyone that he is being set up, or Jim Bob has. I'm starting to wonder if it's the IBLP thinking, if there's some sort of like mental health issue going on here. The only way that this feels like is it's delusional. Like it's not reality at all, in my opinion. Michelle, you're saying these wonderful things about your son, but your daughter, who hasn't done anything to you except didn't obey your rules, is the ostracized one, and you were pleading to the court to return him to the family, and you promised that you're going to support him when you can't do the same for your daughter. You didn't even have the courage to go to therapy with your daughter to talk through your problems, because you'd rather live in the delusional world that you live in, where you're perfect, you don't deal with things, you brush everything under the rug. As long as you keep going and pretending that everything's great and you keep staying on brand, everything's fine. But when your daughters want to have tough conversations with you, you can't even be bothered to show up. But now that your son has been convicted of something that he's looking at 20 years right now, you're asking to have him return to his family now? I can't. I can understand more and more why Jill had to get away from these people. That's, again, my opinion. So what are your thoughts about Michelle's letter? Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.